that was the time of Judges. It was the darkest time in the history of Israel. Why? Because everybody did as they seen is appropriate. There was no prophet and no leading of the Holy Spirit really for the most of the people. Time of Judges. When the people disobey the Lord, even though their fathers seen miracles which God did in Egypt, but this generation forgot everything. But when the enemies were coming, they cried to the Lord, and the Lord appointed judges who would deliver them from the enemies. And it's a time of famine, physical famine. It wasn't a place of Bethlehem, house of bread, in the land of Judah, which means praise. It was one family, Elimelech, I believe this is his name, and his wife now Naomi. And they took their two sons, and from house of bread, they went in the place called Moab. Moabites were the land where the Lord said that those who were born there, Moabites, they wouldn't enter. They shouldn't enter, not to be allowed to enter the house of the Lord up to 10 generations. And this family decided that they will be better off from the land of bread and go in the foreign land. And this is our story, really our story of redemption. And 10 years later, the husband of Naomi died. And while they were there, they married Moabites. Because everybody did as they thought it's fit to be. One girl was Oprah and another Ruth. So after a little while, and their two sons died. So Naomi was as a bereaved widow. She lost everything. And this is like a repetition of the story of prodigal son, when you're leaving your father, which is prototype of God himself, and going in the foreign land. And they went in the foreign land, and of course they left with nothing. So at this certain time, Naomi heard that there is bread, God visited his people, and he blessed his people. And she decided to go back. And this is as we, as a prodigal children of living God who created us, we're living and doing how we think we're supposed to do without his direction. And then, as a prodigal son, we're deciding, let us go back to our father. And she said to their daughters, I believe she so depressed and so kind of backsliding, that she said to her daughters, go back to your mother's house. I believe this is how we understand tradition. If there is, I cannot produce more husbands for you. So go back to your mother's house, but the most important, I believe, what she said, to your gods of Moabites, which definitely wouldn't bring a blessing to them. But one girl turned around and left. But Ruth clung to Naomi, and she said, no, only death will part us apart. And I will go with you where you will go. I will go in the land where you will go, and your God will be my God, and your people will be my people. And they left land of Moab, and they went to Judah. And everybody got excited when they saw Naomi. Naomi had a land and everything which still was there. And everybody heard, and they were happy for her that she returned. And of course, as for the women in that land, it's something how they will support herself. So the God had this provision built in the law. So when you gathering harvest, leave some sheaves, leave for the foreigners, leave them something for less fortunate. And it was a harvest time, barley harvest time. And that's how it's happened. That, of course, Ruth said, let me go and glean, meaning that what they collect, she will just collect whatever is left after. And that's what she started to do. And in the due time, she ended up in the field of one man who we found out later on. He was a kinsman or the close relative of Naomi. He was very close relative of Naomi. And he came and he noticed that girl. And he asked his servants, who is that woman? And they reminded him, that's the Moabite. This is how they refer to her. And she's the one who came with Naomi. So he called her and he said, it's good that you came in that field, but please stay here. Stay in this land. Don't go anywhere else. I told the man, don't touch you. Because, the women, the widows, they were vulnerable to the many harms. And he even mentioned to the reapers to leave something behind, the sheaves, for her to collect. So when she came home to her mother-in-law, she brought what she gathered. And when Naomi saw the first things, she asked, where did you reap today? Where did you glean today? And she said, it was a field of a man by the name of Boaz. And she said, oh, blessed is he who has mercy on the living and the dead.
Yes.
And he is the closest kinsman redeemer. And after a while, she told her, this is the end of the harvest of wheat and barley. So she started to think how to provide for her. She started to think what to do for Ruth. And she said, at the end, when men in the threshing floor, and they finished eating and drinking, the custom was that woman has to initiate that. Woman has to initiate and ask for protection. So when he will lie down, don't let anybody to see you. Just go lie down at his feet and uncover his feet. In this way, you will present your need, that you asking for his protection and him to marry you. And that's what she did. She put her best clothes. She put her best clothes and she went. When it was still dark, and she laid at his feet. And at night, and almost in the morning, he startled, and he asked, who are you? And she said, I'm Ruth, Moabite. And can you cover me with your protection? And he said, blessed are you who didn't go after the young man. And I will do everything in my power to help you. But there is one kinsman redeemer who are closer than I am. But I have to present a case. If he will redeem, let him redeem you. But if not, I definitely will marry you. And as everything, and when she came home, and he gave her 6 measures of barley. And when she came home and Naomi saw her, she said, how did it go? And she explained everything. She said, okay, now rest. Man not going to rest until he will resolve that issue. Everything was resolved at the gates of the cities back then. And of course, Boaz was sitting, he is another kinsman redeemer passing through. And he said, sit, we have resolved something. And he said, there is Naomi, and she has a land. And you're the closest one. Are you willing to buy land? And he said, of course, I'm willing to buy. But there is something else attached to it. By the law, all property was divided by to the every clan of tribe of Israelites. And in order to retain the land in every tribe, it was a law that if you marry the widow, you will have to raise up first son, and for the one who passed away. And that's what Boaz had to remind. And he reminded that with the land comes